Hey, good morning to you. Mark Stout with HurricaneTrack.com here with your hurricane outlook and discussion. It is Friday, the 16th day of October 2020. Hope you got something fun planned for this weekend. Looks like it's going to be a lot chillier in the east because of this cold front coming through. We're also watching the tropics, of course. It is still hurricane season. We have about 45 days or so, something like that, left in the season. It's not over till November 30th, and that's just on the calendar. Mother Nature is going to do whatever Mother Nature wants to do. So here we are. It is the weekend. We're heading into the weekend. We got football. We got other stuff going on, dealing with all the world issues. And, yep, we still have to take a look at the tropics. We do have a couple of areas to keep an eye on. This one yellow X out here, this is now Invest Area 94L. And remember, they assigned these numbers, 90 through 99, and the letter L for Atlantic to designate these systems. Rather than just calling them all systems or this feature or that disturbance and whatever, it's just a way to label these different disturbances and keep track of them. And the L, again, is for Atlantic, and we use the numbers 90 through 99, and then they start over again. And so this one's 94L. Looks like it could become a tropical or subtropical depression or storm over the next several days. It's got pretty good model support. I'll show you that in just a moment. And then if we broaden this out to the next 5 days, you include the fact that this is up to 40%, and we could see that before, but now with the orange there in the 5-day forecast, that becomes more evident in the system in the Southwest Caribbean, 30%, and I believe we're going to get at least 2 more named storms here going forward, and probably 3 or 4 more after that, even as we get into November. The pattern in this part of the Atlantic Basin, and of course the subtropical Atlantic as well, going to be quite favorable, owed to the fact that we've got that La Nina in the Pacific, lower than average, generally speaking, wind shear across this area, and warm sea surface temperatures, lots of disturbances out there that have come off of Africa that sort of seed everything. Yep, it's going to be a busy time. In fact, you can see that in this product here. I like bringing this up from time to time, and you can really see the different areas that we're keeping track of here. This is the system that's 94L. We have a tropical wave tangled up into parts of the Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, that vicinity, the Northeast Caribbean. Lots of moisture and heat in the Western and Southwestern Caribbean. Another tropical wave right here. Another well-developed tropical wave here, more impulses still, yes, still coming off and moving through Africa. Eventually this will shut down. But all of these systems, all the way back here over Africa, those are several days from even reaching the coast, and then they get out over the Atlantic. They're moving across at lower and lower latitudes, and they're going to end up piling up in the Western Caribbean. And they will seed, like I said, they seed the field, if you will. That's a good way to look at it. They're seeding the field with disturbances. There's lots of energy out there, and this is a great way to visualize that. We also have this strong cold front coming down out of Canada, bringing in colder, drier air, and that'll come in and then eventually lift out, and we're going to build high pressure back over the Western Atlantic again soon, and that will set the stage for the potential for development down in the Caribbean. It's this cycle. Fronts come in, they lift out, high pressure builds back in, you start to build convergence over the Caribbean, and you get named storms and maybe even hurricanes. It's just the pattern we're in. Another way to look at it is through the vorticity that I like to look at through and make use of through the University of Wisconsin website. And here's the system in the Northeast Caribbean. A little extra vorticity right there just south of the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico. Got another system out here well to the east of the windwards, and then another one yet to the east from there. Sorry, somebody's doing vacuuming, and it's coming through on this really nice microphone I've got. That's okay. People are busy today cleaning up the house. But yeah, there's plenty of energy out there. Nothing coalescing just yet. There's nothing to be concerned about in the near term, but I am seeing some signs, and we got to kind of address this. I'm starting to see some signs that we may have to face some activity, trouble ahead, whatever you want to call it, especially for maybe Jamaica, western central Cuba, perhaps the Bahamas, and possibly even the Florida Peninsula. And I'm going to show you that in just a moment. But over the next several days, through the weekend, no, nothing to worry about at all through the weekend ahead. So here's a satellite view. I mean, even that is a satellite view. This is just a different satellite view. This is showing us the infrared temperatures, and this animation courtesy, of course, Tropical Tidbits, the great Dr. Levi Cowan. And hey, real quick, congratulations to him for getting through that. A remarkable achievement for a young man. We've known Levi on the internet for several years, and if you didn't know, he got his PhD, and now he's down in the Miami area doing a lot of work in following his passion. It's great when somebody gets to do that. So Tropical Tidbits still going strong. He's still able to maintain that. So I just want to, again, recognize where this is coming from. So with that, we get to see the satellite animation here and pick out our different systems. A little bit of cloud cover now starting to fester in the Western Caribbean. This is the front that's coming in. Very easy to define where that is. And we're going to talk more and more about winter weather later. I've got this whole plan, and I'm going to talk about that with you guys publicly in a much more succinct video. I did one last night for our supporters. It's available publicly, but it's long. It's over 2 hours long. I'm going to create a summary from it, but it's not going to be long, folks. That we're going to be really talking about more of this stuff up here, what we call lower 48 weather. But it's still hurricane season. We're going to focus on this. This is 94L over here. And again, what used to be 93L, another system here, and another system out here. But notice, there's a lot of strong upper level winds cutting across this area. You can just see that in the way that the clouds are moving from west to east across portions of the northern part of the main development region, just outside of the deep tropics. But below all that, going back to this and the precipitable water, lots of pieces of energy in there. Just keep that in mind. All these systems are headed into this general direction over here. And I think that could be problematic as we go forward. All right, so zooming into the Caribbean real quick, I know our man Brent finally made it back from Louisiana, where he did a remarkable job assisting with our Hurricane Delta field mission. And just to make it known once again, in case you didn't know, just if you did, I'm just reminding you, Brent is a patron. He's one of our supporters through Patreon. That's how I met him. He became a supporter in 2018, and he comes and he helps physically, he helps financially with some of the funding, and a great drone pilot he has become. He's also become pretty proficient using a DSLR, and he's back in the Virgin Islands after helping out with the Delta mission. He was here for Laura as well, and we might see him in a week or so. We'll talk about that. But he's back down there, and as such, I wanted to bring up what was going on with the weather, since he's back in his home turf. If you look at this animation, there's just this the subtlest, I think that's a word, of rotation hints right there. The subtlest of hints of rotation. The leftover vorticity signature of 93L. You can see it in the visible satellite here, but it also shows up right there. There it is. Isn't that neat? There's the vorticity, the spin in the atmosphere in the vorticity field of this particular analysis product. And then you can see it in real life. Well, I mean, the other one's real life too, but you can see it in the satellite animation, that spin right in there. But the upper level winds are too much. This is not going to be able to do much overall, but it is going to add heat and energy to the Caribbean as it moves off to the west. A few speckles of yellow through here, so there are a few lightning strikes. We got Brent down here in St. John. We have Timothy over in St. Thomas. We have Carlos over here in San Juan. Quite a few patrons, supporters of our work, and just all around good people down there. I've met 2 out of the 3. I haven't met Timothy Olive in person just yet, but good group of people down here. So I'm keeping an eye on things for you. Tropical wave moving through, a few showers and thunderstorms, but nothing to worry about in terms of additional development from that. What I am more concerned with, and we can look at this tweet here from Andy. Andy works down at NOAA's Hurricane Research Division in the University of Miami. So Andy generally knows what he's talking about. So we like to pay attention to Andy and see what Andy's thinking. Again, this collective thought process, bringing together like-minded people. I make it known that I don't know everything, so we turn to people like Andy. So Andy's saying, starting to see a little more consistency, and that's a big clue here, in some of the ensemble signals. And remember, the ensemble modeling is a good way to look at things. Instead of just one operational, you look at a suite of ensemble forecast. The operational with different perturbations or changes that gives you different output. That's the ensemble. I often refer to the ensemble as being the whole orchestra, whereas the operational is the conductor. John Williams versus the rest of the London Symphony Orchestra, or whatever it is, or Hans Zimmer is the conductor, and he's got his orchestra behind him. The whole orchestra, the ensemble, is what makes Hans Zimmer or John Williams, or back in the day, Beethoven or Mozart. The rest of the orchestra, that's the ensemble, and quite literally. You have a wind ensemble. I mean, that's a great analogy. I think it's one of the best analogies, and I've used it before, that there is in how this works. If the operational is good, sometimes it sucks, honestly, depending on what's happening with the atmosphere and data in versus the model output. But it's the ensembles that we want to look at. And as Andy talks about, that both over the next several days, the GFS ensembles, that's what the GEFS is, the GFS Ensemble Forecast System, and the European Ensemble Prediction System are showing signs of development both in the Northwest Caribbean and from a subtropical system in the vicinity of Bermuda by about this time next week. And this is the ECMWF, EPS, the Ensemble Prediction System, a little bit of a signal showing up in the Caribbean, and a much stronger signal up here in the subtropics. Now, to be honest, the Euro this year for cyclogenesis of these systems has been awful, and a lot of people see that. So, to me, considering how bad the Euro has been at picking up on development this season, the fact that it's starting to show something, especially in the Caribbean, it's raising some eyebrows. It is, and that's why we're talking about it. That's why we're here. That's the discussion part of the hurricane outlook and discussion. The GFS and its ensemble, this is the GFS, the EFS, which is the Ensemble Forecast System, version 12, V12, picking up on a signal as well in about the next week at hour 168. You see, these are the spaghettio plots, as it's called, generally showing you your pressures, etc., but it's just the overall signal. That's what we need to look at. There's the signal down there. This is noise. It's chatter. You hear about chatter. You watch Jack Ryan on Amazon with John Krasinski. You hear about terrorist chatter, and that's what we look for. We look for, in this case, noise, talk, chatter in the models, whatever you want to call it, the signal. And we're able to pick that up in the guidance, in the ensemble guidance. And it's also picking up on the signal here in the subtropical Atlantic as well. Here's another way to visualize it with colors, pretty colors and probabilities. So here is the Southwest Caribbean, again the ECMWF ensemble. This is the area in the subtropics, and these blues in here, 3 shades of blue. Hey, maybe that could be a new, I'm not even going to go there. 3 shades of blue. So what do these mean? More vacuuming. Somebody was not aware that I was trying to cut a video. And I can't open the door and yell at them. That wouldn't be nice. But we're looking at, I'll just talk louder. We're looking at, as much as with some of these lighter blues, maybe 40%, 40 to 45% of a tropical depression forming. Oh, this is humorous. Some people have cats that interrupt them. I have vacuuming. Hey, at least it's low pressure, so there you go. I try to make the best of it, be positive about it. But yeah, about 45% probability here that you can see in these blue colors down here in the Caribbean, and a little bit higher probability in some cases, 50 to 60% with the subtropical system. Bottom line, though, and I'm smiling, it's all right, it's all good. I do so many of these discussions each year, there's always bound to be something chaotic that happens. But this is nothing. So bottom line here, the signal is definitely increasing. Okay, that's just what I want to make you aware of. If you're in Bermuda, Howard, I know you're over there. I'm not too concerned for Bermuda with any of these systems, maybe some wave action. This is where the concern lies for potential impacts. And it's not just Florida. I know we got a lot of people that watch from Florida. Florida's a big state. A lot of people live there. A lot of hurricane interest. I get it. Jamaica, the Caymans, Central America, Cuba, okay, the Bahamas. It's not just Florida that we're concerned about. But as I'm going to show you, there is increasing concern potentially for Florida. Now, this is a really neat product here. This is another way to visualize the clustering from the GEFS, the Ensemble Forecast System from the GFS. What in the world are we looking at? Well, we're comparing 0Z, 6Z, 0Z, 6Z. You get it? So it's going back and forth between the 0Z and the 6Z out at around day 8 and 9, around that time frame. Let's just call it around day 8 or so. Okay, roughly day 8. And what we're seeing are different ensemble members and the clustering of the lower pressures down there. Some of these pressures are below 1,000 millibars. Some of them are lower than that. But the general idea is the trend just from one run to the other. And it's not that significant. But instead of spread out on the 0Z run this way, there's more of a cluster in the 6Z run back towards this area, with one lobe sticking out here in the Bahamas. And so that's what this shows us. It's this clustering of the ensemble. Remember we talked about that the ensemble is the whole orchestra. And in this case, the GFS has, I think, 20 members. Maybe it expanded to 30. I got to brush up on that. My apologies for not knowing. But it's more than just a few in the ensemble members. So the more they cluster. And so another way to look at it, again, if the orchestra is there, but they all are in different, they haven't been practicing and their music stinks, that's the spread out part of this, where, oh, God, it's awful. You hear that 60-piece orchestra, but they're not doing very well because they're all out of tune. That's the 0Z run, where everything's kind of spread out. It's not clustered and fine-tuned, if you will. The 6Z run is more focused, and that's what I'm showing here. It's just one run, from one run to the next, but it's the signal. It's the overall signal that we're seeing, and just, again, to refer back to what Andy was saying in his tweet, we're starting to see more consistency in the overall signal in the Atlantic. So we got to pay attention, all right? Hey, real quick, this weekend, if you don't have anything to do and you want to watch some good documentaries, I have not all of them, I'm working on it. I have 3 of my latest titles and projects on Amazon Prime. Tracking the Hurricanes 2017, the full movie, it's on there. Tracking the Hurricanes 2018, the full movie, and it is remarkable, for sure. That's on there. And then our brand new series here, The Hurricane Highway, Season 1, episodic. All 5 of the current episodes are there so far. So I have 3 more to go, and I'm going to put those on episodes 6, 7, and 8 coming soon. So all 5 of the the pilot episode, if you will, the first miles, how I got started. Episode 2 is all about what we do in the off season and a little bit of about my personal life, etc. Conferences, all the stuff we do in the off season. And what we do after the 2018 season. And then we get into 2019's hurricane season with Barry. And then we get into testing the weather balloon last year. And then we get into Hurricane Dorian in episode 5. And episode 6 will be all about Imelda and Nestor. Episode 7 will be about the coastal storm last year. Again, it's all part of this metaphorical hurricane highway. We travel down the highway. It's literal. It's figurative and everything in between. Really neat series. I have different people that we interview. It's kind of got that interview style like you see in normal documentaries instead of me narrating everything. Anyway, it's all on Amazon Prime. It's also on YouTube. as well as a playlist. So just search for that, and I think it's hopefully pretty easy to find. So check it out, and if you like it, consider leaving it a positive review. And if you have a negative review, I guess you could leave that, but I don't see what's negative about it. I think I did a pretty good job, but try to encourage you to help it do better in its visibility to people. So hopefully you'll leave a positive review about it. I'm proud of it, and it's all crowdfunded by our patrons. It's amazing. We're not supported by Amazon Studios or Netflix with a deal, as it were. Well, I'm on Netflix now. They've bought it. No, this is crowdfunded, and I think that's very special. So I'm proud of it, and I want to promote it. And hopefully you guys can, if you haven't seen it already, you'll watch it this weekend. All right. Well, that's it for me. I'm going to get this done and put on the web. As always, I appreciate you tuning in. Have a good, safe weekend out there. Lots going on in the world, and I'm glad you took some time to at least pay attention to the weather. I appreciate that. I am Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack.com. I'll be back with more for you, of course, throughout the weekend ahead.